You've been lied to, not by enemies, not even by the world, but by the echo of your own mind. That voice in your head that tells you to wait, to doubt, to play small. That voice is not you. It's who they taught you to be. And now it's time to bury that version, because there is something in you they couldn't destroy, something that still stands, despite the delays, the betrayals, the confusion. That's why you feel it in your chest right now. Not anxiety, awakening. Let's get this straight. You are not your fear. You are not your second guessing. You are not the version of you that broke. You are the version that rebuilt. And this is your reset. Let's confront it. The lie that says be realistic. The lie that says maybe next time. The lie that says you're too late. Realism is the religion of the average. It worships limitation, and you've been baptized in it long enough. But realism never built a plane, never put a man on the moon, never made $1 from an idea. Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." That's not poetry. That's the operating code of your reality. Because belief doesn't reflect your world. It creates it. You've been running an old mental OS, programmed by doubt, written in hesitation, updated by the opinions of people who've never built a damn thing. But this is the upgrade. Right now, a new standard. You do not wait for permission. You decide. You do not observe life. You build it. You do not wonder if it's possible. You make it possible. This is the break, the line, the reboot. Say this in your soul. I am not who I was trained to be. I am who I decide to become. Here's the truth they won't tell you. Success isn't luck. It isn't timing. It isn't some divine lottery ticket. It's alignment. Mental, emotional, energetic. It's when your identity matches your outcomes, and your actions enforce both. And until you become the kind of person who expects greatness, you'll keep sabotaging the very doors that are already open. The version of you that hesitates dies here, today, because the truth is simple. The world reflects your standard, not your dreams, not your wants, your standard. Raise it, or repeat it. There is no in-between. Napoleon Hill said it best. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But he didn't stop there. He taught that belief must become obsession. That desire must become dominion. That identity must become inevitable. Not maybe, not hopefully, inevitable. You don't try to be successful. You become a person for whom success is the only natural outcome. And that shift starts in your mind. Right now, right here. Let's go deeper. You've been walking around with borrowed software, hand-me-down beliefs, cultural noise, inherited limits, generational ceilings. But you can feel it, that pressure in your chest, that frustration in your gut, that quiet scream inside you that says there's more. That voice is truth. Everything else is just background static. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's that the old you doesn't want to let go. But here's the law. You cannot become something new while protecting the old version of you. There is no transformation without tension. There is no power without sacrifice. So here's your choice. Stay predictable or become unrecognizable. You think you're waiting on clarity? No, clarity is waiting on you. Decision comes first. Everything else obeys it. You say you want to be great, but are you willing to become the person who can handle that level of greatness? You want wealth, then kill the identity that needs validation. You want freedom, then bury the version of you that needs comfort. You want impact, then drop the ego and embrace the discipline. You must become before you receive. Identity first, then results. You've been hypnotized by hesitation, mesmerized by what if, and shackled by someday. But someday is a myth, and hesitation is the most expensive habit on earth. Right now, someone with half your talent, half your vision, half your potential, is executing at twice your speed. Why? Because they decided, not because they knew everything, but because they stopped doubting themselves. And that's your edge. That's your reset. Say this in your spirit. I release the old identity. I release the delays. I release the fear. I choose power. I choose clarity. I choose to become. Because when you decide, the universe rearranges. Opportunities shift. Doors appear. People recognize something different in your eyes. Not desperation. Not confusion. Dominion. So if you feel this in your chest, if something deep inside is screaming, "This is for me," then let this be the day you bury hesitation. Let this be the moment you reset the code. You are not who you were yesterday. You are not the one who doubts. You are the one who builds. No more rehearsing weakness. No more validating smallness. No more loyalty to an old identity that never deserved your loyalty. Say this: I don't wait. I don't flinch. I move in power. I become. Say it out loud and move like it's done. Your subconscious is not your enemy, but it has been your prison. It doesn't judge. It doesn't question. It simply obeys. And for years, it's been obeying the wrong master, because your subconscious doesn't care what's true. It listens to what's repeated. Let that sink in. Not what's true, what's repeated. That means every time you said, "I'm not enough," every time you joked about being broke, every time you thought, "It probably won't work for me," you were programming your own limits, not by accident, by habit. You've been hypnotized by repetition, conditioned by casual self-sabotage, and every time you accepted a lesser identity, you coded it deeper. But here's the shift. You are the coder now. You write the script. You decide the language, because thoughts are instructions, and emotions are fuel. Combine both, and you've got identity engineering. This is how we rewire belief. Step 1, auto-suggestion. You don't need more information. You need more command. Auto-suggestion is not just saying nice things in the mirror. It's spiritual warfare with words. It's programming the soul. Napoleon Hill said, "You can convince your subconscious that you believe anything simply by repeating it often enough." That means this: speak your future like it's already fact. Tell your subconscious what to believe until it stops arguing. Every day, every night, out loud. No negotiation, no apology, just command. Step 2, repetition. Repetition is the mother of belief. You don't believe things because they're right. You believe them because they've been repeated enough times to feel familiar. And here's the danger. Familiarity feels like truth, even if it's a lie. That's why you must flood your mind with intentional instruction. You must say it again, and again, and again. Not until it's easy, until it's natural, until it feels like the only version of you that could ever exist. This is how champions are made. This is how identities are forged. Not in emotion, in ritual. Let's go deeper. You don't get what you want. You get what you are, and you become what you believe. It starts internal, invisible, microscopic. But belief is a seed, and the subconscious is soil, and repetition is sunlight. You don't see it growing yet, but something's moving beneath the surface, something that's becoming too powerful to remain hidden. This is the secret to supernatural success. You install identity until action becomes automatic. Think about Edison, 10,000 failed attempts, but he didn't see them as failure because he believed he was an inventor, even before the invention existed. That wasn't delusion. That was dominance. That was subconscious engineering. He repeated his vision so often, so intensely, so relentlessly, that failure became irrelevant. Why? Because belief doesn't wait for proof. Belief creates proof. Look at Henry Ford. He told his engineers to build the V8 engine in one block. They told him it couldn't be done. Ford didn't negotiate with the facts. He gave a command, build it anyway. Why? Because he had installed belief as his default language. And once belief is embedded, the world bends. You don't get revolutionary results with average thoughts. You get them when the subconscious becomes your soldier, not your saboteur. Let's make this real. If your life looks stuck, if your energy feels heavy, if your environment reflects limitation, it's not because the dream is broken. It's because the belief system is corrupted. You've been speaking contradiction, asking for abundance with the mouth, but broadcasting doubt with the mind. You say you want wealth, but you identify with lack. You say you want impact, but you repeat the story of unworthiness. That loop ends now. Here's your assignment. Every day, stand, speak, declare, out loud, with force, with clarity, with repetition. Say it until your voice shakes. Say it until your energy shifts. Say it until the doubt becomes offensive to your new identity. Start with these. I am no longer available for small thinking. I command my mind to align with my future. I speak wealth. I speak power. I speak discipline. My subconscious works in my favor, even when I'm sleeping. This isn't hype. This is mental discipline. This is how you rewire the impossible into the inevitable. Let's lock this in. If you don't decide your identity, the world will assign one to you, and they won't ask for your permission. That's why you must speak your truth before your environment speaks over you. You must tell your subconscious what you believe before circumstances teach you what to settle for. And here's the secret the great ones all knew. When you train the subconscious to believe, action becomes easy. Resistance fades. Success stops feeling rare. It starts feeling normal, not because it's easy, but because you expected it. So speak this aloud, daily. My words are law. My vision is fact. My mind obeys my mission. I do not wait for belief. I install it. This is not motivation. This is mental warfare. And today, you win. You rewire by ritual. You install by instruction. You become by command. You don't need another quote. You need a declaration loop. Say this now. I don't argue with fear. I don't wait for permission. I speak it. I believe it. I become it. Say it daily, until belief becomes your blood. You can't become your future while holding hands with your past. One identity must die for the next to live. You've been trying to evolve without a funeral, trying to grow without a grave. But here's the truth. You cannot serve two selves. The old you was built in survival. The new you is built in decision. No more toggling. No more dipping your toe in. No more halfway hustle. This is the part where you burn the bridge, not back to your comfort zone. Back to the weaker version of you. You've said, I'll try. You've said, we'll see. You've said, if it works out, and every time you say that, you're keeping a door open to retreat. But you weren't built to retreat. You weren't made to crawl back. You were made to cut off escape and rise in power. Napoleon Hill wrote about the generals who'd land on enemy shores and burn their ships. So their soldiers had one option, win or die. And guess what? They won. Because when retreat is no longer an option, commitment becomes a superpower. This is not a motivational phrase. This is a law. You cannot serve two identities. One must die. You can't say you're a leader, but keep acting like a follower. You can't declare abundance, but cling to scarcity thinking. You can't build the future while preserving the insecurities of your past. This isn't about working harder. This is about becoming different. And different doesn't mean slightly upgraded. It means unrecognizable. You've been dancing with indecision, tasting the dream, but never chewing it, touching power, but pulling back before it changes you. Because part of you is still loyal to what you used to be, to who they told you you were, to the identity that kept you safe but small. But here's what they never taught you. Your next level requires betrayal, not of people, but of your old self. You can't love comfort and command power. You can't worship ease and walk in destiny. You must pick your altar. Think of Hernan Cortés. When he arrived in the New World, he ordered the ships burned. Why? Because progress has no room for Plan B. Plan B is the language of the unsure, the vocabulary of the undecided. But when you remove the option to quit, performance shifts. When the only direction is forward, you stop entertaining excuses. This is not recklessness. This is radical clarity. This is what greatness demands. Look back at your own life. When did you grow the most? When there was no backup, no easy way out, no applause, just decision. And in that moment, you didn't try. You committed, fully. Now imagine doing that on purpose, daily. That's how lives are rebuilt. That's how dynasties are created. Not by luck, by elimination of Plan B. You want to break patterns? Burn the bridge. You want to shift identity? Burn the bridge. You want to build something unshakable? Then burn the bridge and never look back. Because the truth is this, as long as your old self feels safe, you'll keep shrinking back into it. So we starve the old self. We stop feeding it with stories. We stop justifying its habits. We silence its voice, we give it a gravestone, and we walk away. Say this now. I do not negotiate with my old identity. I do not consult with my former self. I do not ask for comfort. I command transformation. You're not becoming something better. You're becoming something bolder, something more exact, something that doesn't need external proof, because internal certainty is the fuel. Let's talk decision loops, because decisions are not one-time events. They're installed responses. You don't decide once to commit. You decide daily. You rehearse the decision until it becomes you. This is how you build a no-fallback identity. Decide who you are, not who you want to be. Who you are. Eliminate all options that contradict that decision. Delete the back door. Burn the script. Kill the old tone. Repeat the decision, out loud, with force, daily, until it's not a thought, it's a reflex. Napoleon Hill said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." And you consent by hesitating, by doubting, by rehearsing who you used to be. That ends now. Today is a divorce from mediocrity, from indecision, from self-doubt that wears the mask of logic. This is not the time to weigh your options. This is the time to command your next move. And when you burn the bridge, you stop entertaining weakness. Here's what you say now, loud. No apology. I've already decided. I've already become. I don't go back. I don't play small. I burn the bridge. I become the fire. Feel that. That's identity ignition. That's the moment when maybe dies and certainty is born. You don't owe the world an explanation. You owe yourself execution. There will be moments when fear tries to resurrect, moments when the old you whispers, "What if it doesn't work?" And that's when you say, "It already did. I've already become." You won't need to look for motivation anymore. You'll move with momentum, because the bridge is gone. The choice is made. The identity is set. Say it loud. I've already decided, and I don't go back. You can't grow into power surrounded by weakness. You can't ascend surrounded by anchors. You're not just building belief, you're building an atmosphere. And everything in that atmosphere either expands you or erodes you. This is the law. You become like the minds you align with. That means proximity is not neutral. Energy is contagious, and your circle is either pulling you forward or pulling you back to average. You've already made the decision. You've already burned the bridge. Now look around, because transformation isn't just internal, it's environmental. You cannot carry high-performance belief while living in low-performance spaces. It's not just what's in your mind, it's who's in your room. If your circle doesn't stretch your thinking, it's suffocating your growth. Napoleon Hill called it the mastermind, the most overlooked law of success, but the most powerful one. Not just a team, not just a group of friends, a conscious alliance of high-level minds coming together with one goal, expansion. Hill said this force multiplies your power, gives you access to insight, clarity, and certainty beyond what you could generate alone. You don't just gain advice, you gain identity permission. You become what you're around. And if you're surrounded by people who worship doubt, who live on excuses, who laugh at ambition, you're not in a community. You're in a spiritual quarantine. You don't rise by staying polite. You rise by curating your circle. You audit your atmosphere. You protect your frequency. You disallow weak energy, because every time you let a powerless voice speak into your future, you dilute your own destiny. Read this twice. Your environment is an invisible mentor. It teaches you what to tolerate, what to aim for, what's normal. But you weren't built for normal. You weren't wired for average. You're sculpting a life no one in your family has seen before. So you need surroundings that prophesy your next level. Not people who say, "Be realistic," but people who say, "You're still thinking too small." Let's make this tactical. Step 1. Audit the room. Look at the 5 people you speak to the most. Ask yourself, do they challenge you, inspire you, hold you to a higher standard? If not, you already know. Step 2. Clean the space. That doesn't mean cut off everyone, but it does mean you no longer apologize for creating distance from low frequency. Protect your mind like royalty guards a throne. Step 3. Create the mastermind. If it doesn't exist, build it. Find minds that intimidate you, not in arrogance, in excellence. Get around winners. Even one aligned voice can awaken destiny. Look at Carnegie, look at Schwab, look at Ford. They didn't just believe in themselves, they surrounded themselves with other giants, because they knew iron sharpens iron. Vision multiplies in collective vibration. Clarity amplifies in elite company. You're not supposed to do this alone. You were never meant to. You're powerful on your own, but you're unstoppable in the right circle. Here's the truth. If your environment is casual, your results will be accidental. You'll start shrinking to fit the mood of the room. You'll start silencing your hunger just to blend in. But you weren't made to blend. You were made to stand out and call others up. That's why the weak leave when the chosen rise, because your growth exposes their apathy, and your decisions convict their delay. But don't shrink. Don't explain. Just say, I do not allow weak energy in my atmosphere, period. This is the part where you build new habits of alignment. Every call matters. Every voice matters. Every influence matters. Your atmosphere is either fueling your faith or feeding your fear. So make it deliberate. Make it sacred. Make it so precise that your environment becomes your evidence. So when people ask how you did it, you won't just say mindset. You'll say, I changed the company I kept. Let's go deeper. You're not choosing friends. You're choosing frequency. You're not building comfort. You're building command. You don't need people who agree with everything. You need people who remind you of who you are, who speak to your standard, not your mood, who call out the warrior, not the warrior. That's a real circle. That's a mastermind. And if you don't have it yet, start building it today. Say this out loud. I walk with warriors. I speak with builders. I grow with visionaries. I do not explain my standard. I embody it. This is the atmosphere shift. This is the energy audit. This is how you stop settling and start soaring. Let's close this with fire. You're not just protecting your space. You're preserving your destiny. You're not being selective. You're being sovereign. You don't lower your vibe to make others comfortable. You raise the bar and invite them up. Say it loud. I do not allow weak energy in my atmosphere. You don't become exceptional by doing what's expected. You rise by doing what's unreasonable, what most people skip, what average minds avoid. This is the shift. You stop performing for applause, and you start producing from identity. You're not working to be noticed. You're working because greatness is your nature. This is how high performers think. I don't match the task. I exceed it, because it's who I am. You've been taught to give just enough, to show up, do the minimum, and collect the credit. But power doesn't live in the minimum. It lives in overflow. It lives in unseen effort. It lives in moments when you give more than you're paid for, and you do it without a second thought, because it's not about outcome. It's about ownership. This isn't hustle. This is honor. Napoleon Hill called it the law of over-delivery. Do more than you're paid to do. Give more than is required. Go further than expected. And life inevitably gives you more in return. This isn't karma. This is cause and effect. The universe responds to identity-based performance. You're not giving to get. You're giving because that's what greatness does. Think of Charles Schwab. He didn't climb to the top of U.S. Steel by being ordinary. He wasn't the smartest in the room, but he over-delivered on presence, attitude, and initiative. Andrew Carnegie saw it, not because Schwab chased reward, but because he embodied excellence before it was rewarded. That's the formula. Be it before it's acknowledged. Deliver it before it's expected. Move like it's yours before the title is handed to you. Listen, when you work for results, you tire fast. When you work from identity, you become limitless. You don't say, what's the least I can do? You say, how can I imprint my fingerprint of excellence here? That's legacy energy. That's giver energy. That's what makes people stop and say, something about them is different. Because while they were calculating effort, you were building an empire. The secret of abundance is this. The more you give, the more you become. You're not just exchanging time. You're imprinting identity into the world. You're showing up like a blueprint for possibility. And in a world obsessed with shortcuts, you become undeniable by showing up as the source, not the seeker, the supplier, not the consumer, the creator. Say this now. I don't wait to be paid to perform. I perform because it's my pattern. I exceed expectations because it's who I am. That's the law of the rare. That's how you dominate quietly. You don't need to announce it. You let your standard speak for itself, because over time, the world can't ignore the one who consistently gives more than asked. Think of Ford. He didn't just build cars. He reinvented efficiency. He gave more value to more people than anyone of his era. That's why his name lasted. Because he didn't serve with average. He served with vision. And vision always over-delivers. Let me tell you something. The world won't say out loud. People remember how you made them feel, not how hard you worked. So when you deliver with joy, clarity, and power, you install your signature in their memory. You leave a mark that doesn't fade. That's why identity must come first, because your doing flows from your being. And when you become a giver in your bones, you stop chasing value and start becoming it. You may not see the return instantly. You may not get the recognition today, but here's what you will get. Confidence, momentum, respect, first from yourself, then from the world. You won't have to beg for opportunities. They'll look for you, because givers are rare, and the rare become irreplaceable. Let me make this plain. You're not here to get by. You're here to overflow. You're not here to clock in. You're here to change the atmosphere. You're not here to be noticed. You're here to be essential. And the way you become that is by giving beyond the contract, performing beyond the ask, becoming a force, not a follower. Now speak this identity out loud. Let it cement I am the standard. I exceed expectations. I give without waiting. I perform without asking. I move like the result is already mine. You feel that? That's not hype. That's honor talking. That's the energy of a person who no longer asks, what will I get for this? But declares, this is just what I do. This is who I am. So the next time you're tempted to match energy, exceed it. The next time you're told, that's good enough, go further. The next time they say no one else did that much, be the one who did. Because that's how power recognizes you, not by loud demands, but by quiet over-delivery, again and again, until you're unavoidable. Say this daily. I exceed expectations, because it's who I am. There comes a point where it's no longer about trying. It's no longer about hoping. It becomes knowing. A silent, relentless confidence that moves through your veins like law. And you don't chase the outcome. You walk like it's already done. Because by now you understand the truth. Repetition is the language of the subconscious. An identity is not built through hype. It's built through ritual. You don't become it by saying it once. You become it by saying it until your soul echoes it back. Until your actions move before your thoughts. Until your body responds before your logic. That's the power of ritual repetition. Napoleon Hill said it best. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But believing isn't passive. Believing is programmed, installed, conditioned, carved into the subconscious through the tools of the few who rise. Affirmation, visualization, action, again and again and again, until reality has no choice but to respond. You are no longer who you were. You are no longer asking for permission. You are no longer negotiating with fear. The old you thought in cycles. The new you thinks in systems, and your system is simple. Speak it, move it, repeat it, lock it in. This is the truth. Your brain doesn't know what's real. It only knows what's repeated. So if you say I'm powerful once, nothing changes. Say it 1,000 times, you start to move like it, decide like it, refuse like it, execute like it. Because identity doesn't respond to feelings. It responds to command. Let me remind you who you are. I don't shrink. I don't delay. I don't make excuses. I become. Say it until it cracks through your doubt. Say it until your fear forgets how to speak. Say it until your subconscious rewrites the script completely. Because the world is run by those who do what they decided, not what they felt like. You think Ford always felt ready? You think Carnegie never had fear? They weren't fearless. They were faith-filled. Faith is not an emotion. It's a discipline, a code, a lens that says, if I can see it in here, I will build it out there. So what's the ritual? Wake up and speak it. Write it before you touch your phone. Walk with it like armor on your chest. Move through your day like a signal to the world. Watch closely. I'm not just talking, I'm taking territory. Before the world believes you, you must believe yourself. Before the world sees it, you must seed it every day. Here's your loop. 1. Identity affirmation. Wake up and speak it. I am the one who decides. I don't wait. I don't watch. I move. 2. Visual lock-in. Take 60 seconds. Close your eyes and see the version of you that already has it. Feel what they feel. Stand how they stand. Breathe how they breathe. Then become them. 3. Faith in action. Do something every day, big or small, that matches that vision. Faith without action is fiction. You're not hoping anymore. You're building in full belief. This is how empires are built, not by talent, not by speed, but by those who refuse to forget who they are. Every morning, a reminder. Every action, an agreement. Every moment, a decision. I will never be average again. That's your vow. That's your ritual. That's how you lock it in. Say this now. I don't perform for proof. I act like it's done. I walk like it's already mine. I move like the answer, because I am the answer. This is where people stop, but not you. You don't stop at motivation. You install identity. You rewire your operating system, and you don't reboot it. You rebuild it. Some people will notice the shift. They'll say, "You're different. You talk different. You walk different." Don't explain it. Don't shrink from it. Don't water it down to fit their pace. Let the world wonder what changed. You don't owe them answers. You are the answer. This is your final identity lock-in. Say it like your life depends on it, because it does. I move from vision. I live from decision. I don't ask for permission. I walk like it's done. I speak like it's real. I build like it's already mine. This is not the end. This is the activation. You've been reset. You've been reprogrammed. Now build what they said was impossible. Now walk into rooms and raise the standard. Now move like it's already yours. Let the world wonder what changed. You don't owe them answers. You are the answer.